You can start recording. I've already told you. Yeah. So we are going to see the hypothesis testing. So we will understand what is exactly hypothesis testing. And then hypothesis testing is nothing but doing some kind of experimentation. Some kind of experimentation. I will collect data and then try to understand what my data is telling me. I will collect data and then try to understand what my data is telling me. So what I am doing is, I will be doing again sampling. Whenever I do sampling, my samples can give me alarm. Why do I collect sample? I want my sample data to provide me the information. That information sometimes can be true information, sometimes it can be a false information. Is it possible or not?
Yes.
I conduct a test, you wrote badly, but actually you are a deserving candidate. You studied well, but that particular day something went wrong, you could not perform well, and then your result is bad. It doesn't mean you don't deserve certificate. So sometimes what happens, our data can give false alarm also. So the hypothesis testing is to correctly understand whether the signals that are coming from the data are true alarm, or is it a chance? Is it a chance of a false alarm? We need to understand. If it is a true alarm, we will write the judgment saying that the particular factor is the critical factor. Particular cause is the root cause. If it is a false alarm, probably I will still keep the factor as potential factor one, potentially critical only. I don't classify it as critical. Do you understand the idea behind what we are trying to do in the hypothesis testing? We collect data, try to study whether the factor is a culprit or not. That means whether the X variable which is under study is impacting the Y or not. That is what I am studying. So I will collect information about X, parallelly collect information about Y. This is called experimentation. I change X and observe the changes in Y. All right? I change X, observe the changes in Y. If I change the X and Y also changing, and it's a signal that X is critical to Y, right? At the same time, I will be careful that what I am seeing, is it a fact or is it a true alarm or a false alarm? If it is a false alarm, I will better ignore the study and go with further investigation. So hypothesis testing is nothing but a decision-making procedure. Hypothesis testing is a decision-making procedure in which a claim about a population is tested for its trueness. You understand what I'm saying? A claim about a population is tested for its trueness. See, the people sometimes they write thesis, isn't it? So what is a thesis? They come out with a finding. They come out with a finding. That finding is the statement, they try to conclude out of the whole thesis. So that statement is very important. Here also we have a statement called hypothesis statement. Hypothesis statement. So now what is that you want to understand? You want to understand whether X has influenced Y or not. Am I correct? Saying me, some answers.
Yes, sir.
We want to understand whether X has influenced Y or not.
Right.
And now there are two statements. One statement is X has influenced Y. Other one is X has not influenced Y. Do you understand? One is X has influenced Y. Other one is X has not influenced Y. X influenced Y means there is an impact. X has not influenced Y means there is no impact. If there is no impact, the suspect, is an innocent. Am I correct?
The suspect is false.
The suspect is false. Leave him. Don't keep him in the lockup. Rather, you can release him. He is not going to be the culprit. Suppose if the statement is X has an impact or X has an influence on Y, that means there is an impact. That means he is the culprit or he is one of the culprit. That means he is critical. That means the factor can be a root cause. So two statements possible. One is saying that there is an impact. Other one is saying there is no impact. Do you see both the statement just contradicting each other? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes. The statement that is saying that there is an impact is called alternate hypothesis. Got it? What is alternate hypothesis? The statement which says that there is an impact. X influences Y. When you say X influences Y, that is called what? Alternate hypothesis. But when you say X doesn't have impact on Y, that statement is called null hypothesis. Do you all understand the difference between null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis? Yes or no?
No,
Even
sir.
I can speak only up to 11 o'clock. After 11 o'clock, you will be explained the problems and hypothesis testing by Dr. RK. So you need to be fastly react to me. Yeah. Tell me if you understand.
One thing is alternate hypothesis, another one is
Null hypothesis.
Hypothesis and alternate hypothesis. Right? And what I am saying in all is alternate hypothesis means the statement says that X has an impact on Y. Null hypothesis means X doesn't have any impact on Y. Clear?
Yeah.
The recording will be there. Don't worry about too many things. If your mind says you have understood, say yes. Then recording you can watch and you can write as many notes as you want. Anyway, the slides are also shared with you. Right, now you understood. Now let me give a context. You are responsible for a process or you are responsible for a certain thing in your company. Let's say you have two machines, machine number 1, machine number 2. And surface finish your customer wants. Now, generally, both the machines gives same surface finish because both the machines of same make, both are purchased at the same time, used in the same manner. So, what is your belief? Both the machine gives same surface finish, right? But your operator is telling you, sir, machine number 2, the surface finish is not up to the mark. The surface finish is not up to the mark. Even though I do everything, according to the SOP, the surface finish is going down, and so a lot of rejections are coming. Now, what is the suspect now?
machine 2 will not give the impact.
Machine 2.
Machine 2 suspect. Machine 2 is the culprit now. And now, in order to accept the statement given by the operator, you will probably ask him to give some data. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then only you will allow him to do the service or change the machine. That means you are now doing an hypothesis testing. The statement given by the operator. What is the statement given by the operator? Sir, machine number 2 pulls down this surface finish. What is this statement? Is it a null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis?
Null.
Alternate.
What is null and what is alternate?
X has an impact of Y variable.
X has an impact on Y is called what? Null or alternate?
Alternate.
Alternate. Now in the discussion, tell me what is Y?
Y has an
Y is surface finish.
Yeah.
Machine
X
2.
here. What is X here?
Machine 2.
Machine type. Machine 1 and you have two machines. Machine type is the X variable. So machine type has an impact on Y. Can I say like that? When I use machine number 1, I get a better surface finish. When I use machine number 2, I get a bad surface finish. That means X, which is machine type, has got an influence on Y, which is surface finish. Am I correct?
same machine only, na sir. Then same type of machine, same manufacturer only, na.
Same type of machine, same manufacturer, everything, but suddenly something went wrong.
Okay.
Suddenly, one of the, what do you call, the mechanism in the machine, is malfunctioning. So surface finish is going down. It's a suspect. Your operators are bringing it to your notice. That creates a situation for hypothesis testing. You will go and check his statement, isn't it?
Yes.
So when I say the machine number 2 reduces the surface finish, that is actually alternate hypothesis. It's called alternate hypothesis. I can also explain the situation in another context. I am comparing between two machines, machine number 1 and machine number 2. What is that so far happening? Machine number 1 and machine number 2 were giving same surface finish. That is what so far happening. Am I correct?
Correct.
Surface finish produced by machine number 1 is equal to surface finish produced by machine number 2. This is called null hypothesis. Because I brought an equality symbol. The equality symbol is an indication that the statement is null hypothesis. But what is that your operator is telling? Machine 2 surface finish is gone down. That means equality is broken. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Equality becomes inequality. The statement of inequality is called alternate hypothesis. Clear?
Yes.
Statement of equality is null hypothesis. Statement of inequality is alternate hypothesis. Your statement of equality can be of 3 types. The equality I can make it unequal. I can also put in the place of equal, I can put greater than, I can put less than. When I put greater than, what does it mean? I am saying that surface finish obtained by machine number 1 is more than surface finish obtained by machine number 2. Am I correct?
Correct.
This is called right-tailed test. This is called right-tailed test. When I put greater than symbol, that is called right-tailed test. When I say surface finish of machine number 2 is lower than surface finish of machine number 1, that is called left-tailed test, because I use a less than symbol. I wanted to prove that my value is lesser than the another value. That is called left-tailed. When I simply want to put inequality, that is called two-tailed test. Do you now understand? 3 types of test: two-tailed, one-tailed, two-tailed, and then right-tailed and left-tailed. Right. So there are 2 statements. One is null hypothesis. Another one is alternate hypothesis. Right? The alternate hypothesis can be right-tailed, can be left-tailed, or it can be two-tailed. Clear? So far is clear, all of you?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Very good. And now, in order to understand how my data can give me a false alarm. For example, I am teaching, whatever I know. Sometimes I can even teach you wrong, isn't it? You might generally think that whatever we are telling is, correct, and so you must follow. But sometimes what happens, by some chance, maybe we may be tired or something, or some chance, we can even, make mistakes. So our alarm becomes a false alarm. You should safely ignore everything which we are teaching wrongly. Am I correct? Though
Yeah.
95% of what we teach are correct, 5% of what we teach may be wrong. We are not God. We can also make mistake, isn't it? Similarly, your sample is not a God. You should not believe the sample always. All of you understand what I'm saying? Your sample is not a God that it can give you, it can every time it can only tell you the correct signal. Sometimes it can give you a wrong signal. So you have to be careful. Correctly, ignoring the wrong signal and correctly accepting a good signal is what is called decision making. Am I correct? Correctly ignoring the wrong signal and correctly accepting the good signal is what is called decision making. And now the problem comes because of the data, and data comes because of the sampling. So when you do the sampling, there are 2 types of error possible. Imagine you are going to a provision shop to buy the rice. Hope all of you use rice, isn't it? Every month you buy rice is an important component in your provision list. So you want to buy a 25 kg rice bag. Your wife asked you to buy, so you have to do it. So you are going to the shop, and tell me, how will you buy? Will you just randomly buy, or will you just use your brain and sampling technique to see that you buy the right rice? What will you do? Will you do sampling?
Sampling only will do.
Yes. Yes.
You will, all of you will definitely do sampling because you know what will happen in the house otherwise, isn't it? So you will be careful. You will pick up a small portion of the rice, do some study. You will try to judge the entire 25 kg bag. Am I correct?
Sir.
Because you really cannot study the entire rice grains in the bag. That's the problem. How many rice grains will be there inside the bag? Nobody knows. It is so big, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That is called population. But what you see, a small portion of the rice in your hand, that is called a sample. Am I right? You strongly believe that your sample will show up the characteristics of the population. Am I correct or not? You believe that the sample will show up the characteristics of the population. Is the small quantity of rice that is there in your hand is good? You conclude that everything inside the rice bag is also good. Am I correct? Yes or no?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is why sampling technique is important. Random sampling can make it happen sometimes. Systematic sampling can make it happen sometimes. Cluster sampling can make it happen sometimes. Stratified sampling can make it happen sometimes. Combination of these sampling techniques can make it happen sometimes. What should happen? Sample should truly represent the population. Decision you have taken based on the sample should be true with respect to the population also. Then only it is considered a sample. If sample doesn't, it is not a sample at all. Something went wrong. You have used a wrong sampling technique and then you have diverted the investigation. So please be careful with the sampling technique. Now that you found the rice beautiful, so you decided to purchase. Whatever money the provision fellow asked, you have given him. You purchased the 25 kg rice bag and brought it to your house. So your wife, you are an engineer, you might have done the sampling and everything very well. So she started cooking. Right? She started cooking. And then every single day, she also started scolding you. You know why? Come on, you know why?
Sampling failed, actually.
Your sampling failed. Your engineering brain did not help you, did not save you. So she has to scold you every time a meal is served. Because the rice is bad. Tell me why it happened to you. It's a sampling error. Am I right? It's a sampling error. The product is bad, but your sample told that it is good. Product is bad, entire lot is bad, but the sample told that it is good. As a result, a bad product has been has been sent to the customer. A bad product has been sent to the customer, and this is called type 2 error. This is called type 2 error in sampling. Always type 2 error is possible. Who will be affected by the type 2 error? Manufacturer or the consumer?
Consumer.
So type 2 error is otherwise called consumer's risk. Type 2 error is otherwise called as consumer's risk. And consumer's risk is generally denoted by the Greek letter beta. Generally denoted by the Greek letter beta. So one of the sampling risk is consumer's risk, that is beta. Every time sampling is done, this will happen. How many of you accept my statement? Every time a sampling is done, there is a chance that this consumer risk can happen. Am I correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
always in any sampling study, in any research, this should be quantified. General standard is 5%. General standard is 5%, right? So all of you understood type 2 error, which is otherwise called as consumer's risk. The symbol for consumer risk is beta. Now one more thing can happen. Again, your wife has thrown the rice bag outside, and then she asked you to buy one more rice bag. Now tell me, the same task has been given to you by your wife. Now, how will you purchase the rice bag now? Will you be more cautious now?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, yes.
Will you accept the job first of all? Doubtful. You have to do it. There is no other go, right? So you accept, and again you are going to the shop, and now you will become, very tough to the shop wala. You become tough. You tighten your sampling like anything, isn't it? You don't just believe with one sample. You will now take multiple samples. You take a sample from the top. You also take another sample from the bottom. You take another. Why you become so strict?
Random sampling.
Because you wanted to avoid beta, isn't it? That should not happen. So you have tightened you have changed your sampling style. You wanted to make sure that the bad product is always rejected. If a bad product is rejected, then the beta cannot happen. So you changed your sampling technique. But now what happened? Since it is so intensive that you might even reject a good product. Can I say like that?
Possible is there, sir.
Possible. Since your sampling technique is very strict, and sometimes your sample may exhibit a poor quality, or may exhibit a poor quality, but everything inside the lot may be good. Now another form of error happens, which is called type 1 error. A good product is rejected because of the sampling error. Now who is put under risk? Consumer or manufacturer?
It's
Consumer again.
Manufacturer now. Imagine you are going to an audit to one of your vendor site. You are going for an audit to a vendor site, and you are very strict officer. You took some sample that particular day, 3 samples you have taken, and you are not happy with the 3. Totally there are units, but how many units you studied? 3 units you studied. And in your opinion, out of the 3, 1 has gone wrong. So you decided to reject the entire lot. Now who is suffering now? But all remaining 997 are fantastic. But you don't have time to do 100% inspection. So you decided not to buy from the vendor. The contract has been cancelled. Now who is now put under risk?
Vendor.
Vendor is nothing but the manufacturer. As far as the vendor is concerned, you are the consumer. Am I right? That's where SIPOC helps you. Supplier, sometimes your company can become a customer. Your company can become a supplier sometime. And now vendor is the supplier, your company is the consumer. Now, because of this sampling error, your vendor is under trouble. This is called manufacturer's risk, otherwise called as type 1 error. Type 1 error is given a Greek symbol called alpha. Clear?
Yeah.
I think one of the team is named as alpha. Am I right or not?
Yes, sir.
Now you understand the meaning of your team name, Team Alpha. Team Alpha means this is manufacturer's risk. There should be a limit for manufacturer risk. There should be a limit for consumer risk whenever you are doing a sampling, whenever you are doing a research. You must fix this limit. Out of the two, which is most important is manufacturer's risk is most important. Of course, consumer risk also important, but from the manufacturer point of view, manufacturer risk is important. General standard is, industry standard is, manufacturer's risk is fixed as 5%. Clear?
And consumer type 2, that also is 5%.
That is also 5% most of the time. Yes, that is also 5%. You're right. But the companies are more concerned about the type 1 error because the manufacturer directly gets impacted, right? So alpha is generally fixed as 5%. Alpha is generally fixed as 5%. The moment you say alpha is 5%, that is called level of significance. All of you are following me fully right from the beginning.
level of
All of you are able to follow me, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't worry about the slides. I will definitely show all that. Last 10 minutes, I will show the slides. So level of significance. That means when a sampling study is conducted, the permissible type 1 error is only 5%. That is why we are fixing alpha. When error is 5%, you are confident that 95% of the time, the signal that is obtained from the data is true. Am I correct? When error is limited to 5%, 95% of the time, the signal that is coming from the data is true. Am I correct or not?
Correct.
This is called confidence level. This is called what? Confidence level. I will also explain what is confidence level. You did a study, you made a conclusion. Am I right? You did a study, you made a conclusion. If I want to check your study, what will I do? I will also do the study, try to get the same conclusion. Am I correct or not? Sir, no.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
If somebody do a research and do a study and then come out with a conclusion, so he will also repeat the study and then he will cross verify. That means 95% of the time, result will be found to be in line with your conclusion. That is called confidence level. Do you understand now? 95% of the time, your result will only come. But 5% of the time, the opposite result can come. Why 5% of the time opposite result comes? Your sampling can give that error. Am I right?
Yep.
So, your sampling is designed in such a way that 95% of the time, it will give correct alarm. 5% of the time, your sampling has a limitation. It can give a false alarm. So this 95% is called confidence level. 5% is called level of significance. Level of significance is alpha, which is 5%. So confidence level is 1 minus alpha, which is 95%. Do you understand the relationship between level of significance and confidence level?
Yes, sir.
Level of significance plus confidence level is equal to 100%. Am I correct?
Mm.
If I fix level of significance as 10%, what will be the confidence level?
90.
Very good, beautiful. You have understood the concept, right? So general industry standard is level of significance is fixed as 5%. That means the permissible type 1 error is 5%. Level of significance 5% means the permissible type 1 error is 5% and the expected confidence level is 95%. Similarly, if you want to fix beta also, let somebody told beta, right? Beta also 5%. What is beta?
Consumer error.
Consumer error. Consumer risk.
Consumer risk. You must use the word risk. Consumer risk is 5%. So when the consumer risk is 5%, it means 5% of the time a bad product might go to the market. Am I right? A bad product might go to the market.
Correct.
But you are definitely preventing 95% of the time, you are preventing a bad product reaching the market. That 95% is called power of the test.
Mm.
When beta is fixed as 5%, 95% is called power of the test. What is power of the test? The ability of your study to prevent a bad product reaching the market or reaching the customer. Now, so far, I have explained sampling error in the context of a manufacturing industry. Hope it is understood clearly. I have taught 4 things. One I taught is alpha. Level of
Level of
significance. Level of significance.
Significant.
Level of significance when it is fixed as 5%. Confidence level is
95.
95%.
what is the formula for confidence level?
1 minus level of significance.
Very good. 1 minus alpha.
Alpha.
Right? Because alpha 5% means 0.05. 5% means 0.05. So 1 minus 0.05, 0.95. 0.95 means 95%. I also discussed about beta. What is beta?
Customer risk, consumer risk.
consumer's risk. Now, what is power of test?
95%.
Yes, very good. That is 1 minus beta. Right? So, generally, alpha is a major concern in manufacturing industry. The general standard is 5%. But if you want to be more accurate or more confident, then you can make the alpha to 1%. If I make alpha to 1%, what is the confidence level expected?
99.
99.
99%. But sometimes what happens, I don't want that much level of accuracy or confidence level. So I am okay with alpha of 10%. I am okay with alpha of 10%. When I am okay with alpha of 10%, my confidence level is 90%. Similarly, the alpha can be fixed according to the industry, according to the product, but general standard is 5%. Now I want to change the context from manufacturing to hypothesis testing. I said good product, bad product. Now I will say true statement, false statement. Because hypothesis testing is all about statement, isn't it? This is a statement. Right. Now, the null hypothesis, all of you know null hypothesis, am I correct?
Yeah.
What is null hypothesis? It's a statement of equality or statement of inequality?
Quality.
Very
Equality.
good. You are laying the foundation very, very strong now. Right. So null hypothesis is statement of equality. If the null hypothesis is true, but you collect data and reject the null hypothesis, that is called type 1 error in hypothesis testing. You understand?
Once again, tell me, sir.
Null hypothesis is true, but you did a study, you wrongly understood, your data gave a false alarm. And null hypothesis is true, you must accept it, but you have rejected it. If you wrongly reject a null hypothesis, or if you reject a null hypothesis when it is true, the error you are committing is nothing but type 1 error in hypothesis testing. Hope all of you understand. Right? And null hypothesis is false. Null hypothesis is false, but you conduct the study and then you are accepting it. That is called what? Beta. All of you are able to connect alpha and beta with respect to hypothesis testing, because hypothesis testing is playing between null and alternate hypothesis. Now we are in a state to either accept or reject a null hypothesis. Hypothesis testing is all about either accepting a null hypothesis or rejecting a null hypothesis. When the null hypothesis is true, but still I reject it, what is this error called?
Type 1.
Type 1 error. Please limit the type 1 error to a maximum of 5% only. Why? Then only your confidence level can be minimum of 95%. Am I correct?
Correct.
Always when we take decision, our confidence level is important. I am sure this machine is the culprit. I am going to scrap the machine. I am making this statement with a confidence level of 95%. But sometimes you may require 100% confidence. Am I right? Important decision, you require 100% confidence. Then what should you do? Don't do sampling. Go for a full audit. Am I right? For example, right now, we are training 20 of you and we give exam to each one of you. Why do we conduct exam to each one of you? I can't simply make 2-3 people to write the exam and give certificate to all. My sampling will not give me the higher level of confidence. So making each one of you write the exam is nothing but a full audit. Am I right?
Yes.
So whenever you feel 100% confidence is required, the option is only full audit. But many situations you just cannot do full audit. So you have to adhere to sampling and then you have to live with alpha and beta. No other option. Hope all of you understand. This alpha and beta in the context of hypothesis testing. Right. And now you have understood all these things. Now I will move to the screen sharing mode and then quickly show you all these things.